Space pirates. Am I right? Greetings and welcome once again to Roman of the Empire. I'm your host, Roman. Today, we are talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, The Apostate. It's been a couple of years since we saw Din and Grogu. Well, since the book of Boba Fett, really, when they kind of took over the season. And then Din got exiled because he removed his helmet. That's kind of where we wrapped up with him in the book of Boba Fett. And he was going on his quest to bathe in the waters below the mines of Mandalore. Okay. Not a lot has changed. This episode, I'm not going to say it was a bad episode. I think that would be overstating. I think it was an unnecessary episode. You don't really get very far from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode. You are in essentially the same place. It's fine. You get to see some old faces, familiar faces. They wrap up the Gina Carano piece in like a line. They don't say anything bad. It just they kind of gloss over. Oh yes, she went off to join the special forces. Okay. And like I said, so you see some familiar faces, some new stuff, but mostly unnecessary. The episode was unnecessary. The look of the show is still fine. I think it's still, it's still way better than Kenobi was, because Kenobi was never good. And Andor, for all of the pacing problems that I thought it had a much better storyline underlying. Although Andor did throw us the occasional, why I did this episode exist. It's not good to start your season with that, though, and that's where we are. So, I would wait. If I were you, I would just kind of hang in there and see what people say about maybe the next episode. Hopefully they get their feet off the ground, because this one, were I not doing this review after this episode, I don't know if I would watch, right? So, like I said, I'm going to watch the next one and see where it goes. This one, there wasn't a lot of substance there. Almost none, in fact. So we're going to get into spoilers like we always do and talk about the parts of the episode. But this still isn't going to be super long. There's not a lot to discuss. We find ourselves on wherever the Mandalorians have set up camp. And I actually thought this was Din's... I thought we were in a flashback to Din's ceremony of putting on the helmet. But it's not. It's some new kid. There are an awful lot of Mandalorians. I thought most of them got killed off, but there are a lot of them. You see the armorer. She's the head of their clan, the Watch, putting the helmet on the kid. And they're doing it in front of a body of water. He's standing. It's almost like a baptism. And then this giant crocodile alligator thing comes out of the river as he's about to finish his oath and starts eating the Mandalorians. And they have a cave behind them. And instead of just retreating to the cave in safety, they decide they need to fight this giant dinosaur-like creature. This fight was completely unnecessary. As soon as it popped out of the water, everybody runs to the cave, everybody's safe. The monster gets to live, you get to live, everybody's happy. There's obviously more of them out there, so I thought this was kind of a stupid scene. But then Din and Grogu fly in their shiny new starfighter and blast a hole in the side of the monster, and now the exile, Din, gets an audience with the armorer in a scene that was also unnecessary. Sure, told him what he needs to do. But he goes in with a bit of shiny blue glass, shows it to her, says, "I got this from a trader. They said they found it on Mandalore. Clearly people are there. It's because remember, it's supposed to be uninhabitable after the purge. Okay. So she looks at it and she's like, oh, it's the whole planet. It's been crystallized. And he's like, but what if the mine survived? This is the way. This is the way. And then he goes off on his quest. All right. Again, you didn't gain any ground that you didn't have from previous episodes. Now, Din and Grogu are flying through hyperspace, and this scene was kind of cool. I do give this scene credit. While they're in hyperspace, Din's asleep, and Grogu's looking, and he sees the whales. They're called, what are they called? It doesn't really matter. They're the you saw them in Rebels. They actually came to the aid of Ezra and his Purgils. Purgils are the big whale things that travel in hyperspace. So that's how Ezra left at the end of Rebels. So I think we may actually see some tie-ins because we know the Ahsoka show is coming up. I expect we're going to see Thrawn as well. So. But seeing and you didn't see them directly, you just saw their kind of silhouettes traveling through hyperspace, and that was cool. I thought it was a neat scene. I thought it was a good throwback to Rebels. So there you go. I can't say that was bad because it wasn't. So they go to Navarro, where Karga is. Karga played by Carl Weathers, and now it's like this bustling hub. And it's in the town has got it's got its stuff together. It's actually a thriving, regular trade city. It's not Mos Eisley anymore. Okay, it looks like a real nice kind of place to be. So he's meeting with Karga, and Karga's offering him land, and he's like, dude, this would be a nice place for you and a little green fella to settle down. And then they get interrupted during their meeting. There's some pirates that have shown up. They want Vane, and they work for King Gorian Shard, who helped fund. I mean, this was back when. Forgive me here for a second. My brain. I'm an old man whose brain doesn't work very well. Karga was dealing in mercenary and trade and that kind of stuff. King Gorian Shard was a pirate, and they worked together, and money's changed hands. So the pirates are showing up on Navarra, and they want to go drink at what used to be a cantina. Now it's a school, and words are exchanged. And this it's like an Old West scene, but it was kind of, like I said, it was just largely unnecessary. And Mando shoots down 4 of the pirates, and one Vane runs back off, and he's like, well, that'll show Karga, that'll show Gorian Shard that pirates aren't welcome here anymore. Okay, because that always works. It always works when you kill the guy's fellas. He's not going to seek revenge in any kind of way. That's impossible to even think that. So now the pirates are gone, and Din's like, he wants to resurrect IG-88. They have a statue of him made from his own parts outside the town. Remember, he had to blow himself up to save them at the end of episode 1. So no one's considered this before, apparently. Din gets him in there. He starts tinkering around with things. He reverts back to his original programming. He's an assassin droid, and he tries to kill Grogu. But now he's just like a torso and an arm. It's very Terminator-like in appearance. It's an alright scene. But they smash his head in with a bust of Karga. And now they have to try to fix it again. So they take it to the Anzellans, who are these little... they're about yay tall. Grogu thinks they're cute. He wants to hug them. It's a real modern Star Wars scene. And they're trying to fix the droid. They can't fix the droid. They need a memory circuit. And they're like, hey, unless you get it, we're not going to be able to continue on here. So Din's like, all right, I'll find it. Because he can find anything. That's his thing, right? So now they they leave. And again, like I said, Karga tells, because he offers him a job of marshal, and Din's like, well, what happened to Cara Dune? He's like, oh yeah, after she took down Moff Gideon, she got recruited for Special Forces. And that's it. That's where that character comes and goes. Disney lost a giant opportunity and really blew it there. So now, back to the show. Din and Grogu take off to go off in search of, the MacGuffin piece. They're immediately confronted by the pirates. You'll find this shocking. And You get a real brief space battle. It's fine. He picks off the bad guys really easy. So it's not a particularly exciting space battle. And then he's face to face with King Gorian Shard's massive ship, and it's impressive. That's kind of a cool look. They have. I need to talk about King Gorian Shard for a second. He looks like Swamp Thing's butt. This is a terrible design. I don't know why they feel they need to make space pirates look like Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's kind of the mode they went, and it's stupid. So I don't even know what to tell you at this point. Again, this is a completely unnecessary scene. So he's outgunned. They have words. Never trust a pirate. He hits the thruster in his magic ship, and he just blasts himself away to out of range. Okay, all right. That was it. That was the pirate confrontation scene. It was just unnecessary. A lot of unnecessary scenes. Now they're going to the planet Calvella, which is in the it's a mandatory Mandalorian in their sector. What's left of their sector, I guess, since the planet doesn't really matter anymore. But there's a Mandalorian castle there, which is just in pristine shape. Why did they go there? I have no idea. Why did they think to go there? No idea. But that's where Bo-Katan is hanging out, in this big castle with a droid. And Mando's there. He's like, "Hey, I've come to join you." And she's like, "Well, too late. You have the Darksaber. All of my forces and fleet disbanded. They're all mercenaries now. What do you want from me?" And he's like, "Well, I want to go back to Mandalore to swim in the magic waters so I can redeem myself." She's like, "That's you guys are just nuts." She's like, "The planet's uninhabitable." And she tells him where the mines are, though, just in case. But basically, he's on a fool's errand. I do think she's using him to try to test the waters, so to speak, no pun, on Mandalore to see what's going on there. Kind of the canary in the coal mine. But that's really it. And that's the end of the scene. And he's like, "Okay." And then it's over. That's the end of it. He just leaves. So, like I said, it's an episode that really you gain no ground in. He's still on his original quest, essentially. And nothing that happened in this episode changes any of that. It threw in maybe the side thing because he wanted to take IG-11 with him. Did he need to take? Where's he going to put him? His ship can't accommodate a droid as well. There's no room on that tiny ship. I'll see where this goes. This isn't starting off with a bang, though. More of a question mark as to why. Let's hope we get something better in the next episode. Like I said, I would hold off. If you haven't watched it yet, and you watch this review anyway, just kind of ride it out. Let's see what the next one looks like, and then we can hopefully make a decision after that as to whether or not this show is even worth watching. 2 episodes in, that's kind of tough. Episode 1, not great. That's it. That's it for now. This is Roman of the Empire signing off. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, because the channel always does need it. Be kind.